Ever wondered how medieval castles survived year-long sieges without refrigeration or spoiled meat? These preservation masters developed techniques so effective they kept meat fresh for years while improving flavor and nutrition. Today, I'm sharing 12 revolutionary meat preservation secrets that sustained castle populations through history's longest sieges. Salt curing systems. Medieval castle provisioners perfected salt curing methods that preserved meat for 2 years without refrigeration. They used coarse sea salt or rock salt to draw moisture from meat, creating hostile environments for bacteria. The process involved burying meat cuts in salt for specific time frames based on thickness and fat content. Different salt types produced varying flavors. Sea salt added mineral complexity, while rock salt provided pure preservation power. Properly cured meat became leather hard, but remained nutritious and flavorful when properly prepared for consumption, often outlasting modern vacuum-sealed products. Smokehouse networks. Castle architects designed sophisticated smoking chambers that created perfectly preserved meat through controlled smoke exposure and temperature management. These multi-level structures used specific wood types, oak for robust flavor, apple for sweetness, hickory for intensity, to produce different preservation characteristics. Cold smoking at Y-90 degrees Fahrenheit preserved meat without cooking, while hot smoking at Y-250 degrees Fahrenheit created ready-to-eat products. Ventilation systems controlled airflow and moisture levels, preventing spoilage while ensuring proper smoke penetration. The smoking process created natural preservatives that penetrated deep into meat fibers, producing products that remained safe and delicious for 12 to 18 months without any modern preservation, chemicals, or energy consumption. Fat rendering preservation. Medieval cooks developed fat rendering techniques that created natural preservation mediums superior to modern methods. They slowly cooked animal fats to produce pure shelf-stable rendering that served as both cooking medium and preservation system. Different animal fats provided varying preservation characteristics. Pork lard offered neutral flavor and long storage life. Beef tallow provided robust preservation power. Duck fat added rich flavor while maintaining excellent keeping qualities. Meat pieces were cooked in rendered fat, then stored completely submerged in the solidified fat layers that created airtight seals preventing bacterial growth. These confit-style preparations kept meat fresh and flavorful for 8 to 12 months at room temperature, actually improving in taste over time as flavors melded and developed complexity that modern refrigeration cannot achieve while maintaining superior food safety. Underground cold storage. Castle engineers constructed elaborate underground storage systems that provided natural refrigeration through Earth's thermal mass and strategic ventilation. These chambers, carved 8 to 12 feet below ground level, maintained consistent temperatures between Y-55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, regardless of surface weather conditions. Construction included stone-lined walls that prevented moisture infiltration, drainage systems that eliminated standing water, and ventilation shafts that created controlled airflow without temperature fluctuations. Meat storage utilized wooden racks, stone shelves, and hanging systems that maximized air circulation while preventing rodent access. Humidity control involves strategic placement of moisture-absorbing materials, like charcoal or lime, that maintained optimal storage conditions. The underground environment created natural preservation conditions that kept fresh meat safe for weeks longer than surface storage, while preserved meats remained stable for extended periods. These systems worked so effectively that many castles maintained underground storage networks that supplied entire garrisons throughout lengthy siege conditions. When surface food procurement became impossible, air drying techniques. Medieval meat preservers mastered controlled air drying methods that created shelf-stable products through careful moisture removal and environmental management. The process required specific atmospheric conditions, low humidity, consistent air circulation, and temperature control that prevented spoilage, while encouraging proper drying. Meat preparation involves strategic cutting, salt pre-treatment, and protective wrapping with cheesecloth or linen that allowed airflow while preventing insect contamination. Drying environments utilize castle towers, attics, or specially constructed chambers with adjustable ventilation that controlled drying rates based on weather conditions and meat types. Different cuts required varying drying times. Thin strips, dried in 5 to 7 days, while thick roasts needed 3 to 4 weeks for complete preservation. Quality assessment involved visual inspection, texture testing, and aroma evaluation that determined optimal drying completion without overprocessing. Seasonal timing was crucial, with autumn and winter providing ideal conditions for air drying processes. Properly dried meat became concentrated nutrition sources that remained edible for 6 to 12 months, providing lightweight, portable protein that sustained castle defenders during extended siege periods when fresh food supplies were exhausted and every calorie became essential for survival. Honey preservation methods. Castle provisioners discovered honey's remarkable preservation properties, utilizing its natural antimicrobial characteristics to create long-lasting meat products that remained safe and flavorful for extended periods. Honey's low moisture content and acidic pH created hostile environments for harmful bacteria, while its natural enzymes produced hydrogen peroxide that provided additional antimicrobial protection. Application techniques involved coating meat surfaces with pure honey, creating barriers that prevented bacterial growth while allowing beneficial preservation processes to continue. Different honey types provided varying preservation characteristics. Wildflower honey offered broad-spectrum antimicrobial action. Clover honey provided mild flavor enhancement, while buckwheat honey delivered intense preservation power with robust flavor development. Combination methods mixed honey with salt, herbs, or spices that enhanced preservation effectiveness while creating complex flavor profiles. Storage procedures involved wrapping honey-coated meat in clean cloths, then placing in sealed containers that maintained optimal preservation conditions while preventing contamination. The honey preservation process actually improved meat flavor over time, creating sweet-savory combinations that were prized by castle inhabitants. Properly honey-preserved meat remained safe and delicious for 8 to 15 months, providing reliable protein sources during extended siege conditions when other food supplies failed, and nutritional security determined survival outcomes for entire castle populations. Vinegar pickling systems. Medieval castle cooks perfected vinegar-based meat preservation that created acidic environments hostile to dangerous bacteria while producing flavorful, long-lasting protein sources. They produced high-quality vinegars through controlled fermentation of wine, ale, or fruit juices that achieved 4 to 6% acetic acid concentrations necessary for safe meat preservation. Different vinegar types created varying flavor profiles. Wine vinegar produced elegant, sophisticated tastes suitable for noble tables. Ale vinegar created hearty, robust flavors preferred by common soldiers, while fruit vinegars added sweet tart, complexity that enhanced various meat preparations. Preparation processes involved cutting meat into appropriate sizes, then submerging pieces in vinegar solutions enhanced with salt, herbs, and spices that provided additional preservation power. And flavor development. Container selection utilized ceramic crocks, wooden barrels, or glass vessels that resisted acid corrosion while maintaining airtight seals essential for proper preservation. Aging procedures required careful monitoring of acid levels, flavor, development, and meat texture changes that occurred during extended storage periods. The pickling process transformed tough meat cuts into tender, flavorful products that improved with age, developing complex flavors impossible to achieve through other preservation methods. Properly pickled meat remained safe and delicious for 12 to 18 months, providing essential protein during siege conditions, while offering flavor variety that maintained morale when food options became severely limited and dietary monotony threatened castle. Defender motivation and effectiveness. Claypot sealing. Castle provisioners developed sophisticated claypot preservation systems that created airtight storage environments using natural materials and traditional sealing techniques. These methods utilized specially prepared ceramic vessels with tight-fitting lids that could be sealed with wax, clay, or organic compounds to prevent air infiltration that caused meat spoilage. Pot preparation involved thorough cleaning, seasoning with salt or herbs, and testing for cracks or flaws that could compromise preservation integrity. Different clay compositions provided varying preservation characteristics. Porous earthenware allowed controlled moisture exchange, while dense stoneware created nearly airtight storage that prevented oxidation and bacterial growth. Sealing techniques employed beeswax, pine pitch, or clay mixtures that created impermeable barriers around lid joints, ensuring no air could enter sealed containers during extended storage periods. Layering methods within pots included alternating meat pieces with salt, herbs, or fat layers that provided multiple preservation mechanisms while maximizing storage capacity. Size variations accommodated different preservation needs, from small, personal portions to large communal supplies that could feed multiple people during extended siege conditions. Storage environments required cool, dry locations that maintained stable temperatures while protecting sealed pots from temperature fluctuations that could compromise preservation effectiveness. These clay pot systems created preservation environments so effective that properly sealed meat remained safe and flavorful for 15 to 24 months, providing reliable food security during the longest siege conditions when other preservation methods failed and food scarcity threatened castle survival. Herb and spice treatments. Medieval herbalists identified specific herbs and spices with powerful antimicrobial properties that enhanced meat preservation while adding complex flavors that improved palatability during extended storage periods. Essential preservation herbs included rosemary, thyme, sage, and oregano that contained natural compounds hostile to harmful bacteria while contributing aromatic qualities that masked any off flavors that developed during long-term storage. Spice combinations utilized black pepper, coriander, fennel, and juniper berries that provided antimicrobial protection, plus flavor enhancement that made preserved meat more appealing to castle inhabitants facing dietary limitations during siege conditions. Preparation techniques involved grinding fresh herbs and spices into fine powders that could penetrate meat fibers effectively, or creating paste mixtures with salt and oil that formed protective coatings around meat surfaces. Application methods included rubbing spice mixtures directly onto meat surfaces, creating herb salt blends for curing processes, or preparing aromatic brines that combined herbs with vinegar or wine for enhanced preservation power. Seasonal timing coordinated herb harvesting with peak potency, periods when essential oils reached maximum concentrations, ensuring optimal preservation effectiveness throughout the storage period. Drying and storage procedures preserved herb and spice quality through careful moisture control and protection from light exposure that degraded active compounds. Regional specializations developed unique herb and spice combinations based on local plant availability and traditional knowledge passed down through generations of castle. These herbal preservation treatments created meat products with exceptional flavor complexity that remained safe and delicious for 10 to 18 months, providing both nutrition and sensory satisfaction during difficult siege periods when food variety became scarce and morale
also
depended
actively
partly on
prevented
meal
spoilage
quality.
by inhibiting
Confit oil preservation. Castle cooks perfected confit preservation techniques that completely submerged cooked meat in rendered fat or oil, creating anaerobic environments that prevented bacterial growth while developing rich, complex flavors that improved over extended storage periods. The confit process began with slow cooking meat pieces in their own rendered fat or high-quality oils at carefully controlled temperatures that cooked meat thoroughly while preserving texture and moisture content. Different cooking fats provided varying preservation characteristics and flavor profiles. Duck fat created luxurious, rich flavors preferred for special occasions. Pork lard offered neutral taste and excellent preservation power, while olive oil provided Mediterranean flavors and superior keeping qualities in warmer climates. Temperature control during cooking required careful fire management to maintain optimal heat levels that cooked meat completely without burning or creating tough textures that would deteriorate during storage. Storage procedures involved transferring cooked meat to clean containers, then covering completely with cooking fat that solidified to create impermeable seals, preventing air contact that caused spoilage. Container selection utilized ceramic crocks, wooden barrels, or metal vessels that could accommodate both meat and covering fat while maintaining airtight conditions. Quality monitoring throughout storage involved periodic inspection for signs of spoilage, proper fat coverage, and flavor development that indicated successful preservation progress. The confit method created meat products with exceptional tenderness and concentrated flavors that actually improved during storage, developing complexity impossible to achieve through other preservation techniques. Properly prepared, confit remained safe and delicious for 12 to 20 months when stored in cool conditions, providing castle inhabitants with premium protein sources during extended siege periods when food quality became as important as quantity for maintaining defender morale and effectiveness. Natural fermentation. Medieval preservation specialists developed controlled fermentation processes that utilized beneficial bacteria to transform fresh meat into shelf-stable products with unique flavors and enhanced nutritional profiles. These fermentation techniques required careful environmental management to encourage helpful bacterial growth while preventing harmful microorganisms that could cause spoilage or illness. Traditional fermentation environments included cool cellars, caves, or specially constructed chambers with controlled temperature and humidity that created optimal conditions for beneficial bacterial activity. Fermentation starters often came from previous successful batches, wild fermentation using natural bacteria, or specific bacterial cultures maintained by experienced preservation specialists who understood the complex microbiology involved in safe meat fermentation. Salt concentrations were carefully calculated to create environments that supported beneficial bacteria while inhibiting dangerous pathogens, requiring precise measurements and timing based on meat type, environmental conditions, and desired fermentation outcomes. pH monitoring without modern instruments relied on taste, aroma, and visual cues that indicated proper acid development, essential for safe fermentation progression. Different meat cuts required varying fermentation times and conditions. Lean cuts fermented faster than fatty pieces, while whole muscles needed longer processing than ground preparations. Quality control throughout fermentation involved regular inspection for proper color development, texture changes, and aroma evolution that indicated successful bacterial activity and safe preservation progress. Temperature management during fermentation required constant attention to environmental conditions that could affect bacterial growth rates and final product quality. Safety protocols developed through centuries of experience helped fermentation specialists avoid dangerous bacterial contamination while achieving consistent preservation results. Successfully fermented meat products developed complex, tangy flavors with enhanced digestibility and extended shelf life of 8 to 15 months. Providing castle populations with nutritious, flavorful protein sources that remain safe during extended siege conditions when other preservation methods might fail, and food security determined survival outcomes. These medieval meat preservation techniques prove that our ancestors achieved remarkable food security without modern technology. Their methods often produced superior results, better flavor, longer shelf life, and higher nutritional value than industrial preservation. Many techniques can still be used today for natural, chemical-free meat preservation. Ready to discover more ancient food secrets? Subscribe for weekly preservation wisdom that can transform your kitchen today.